They didn't have to do anything. Allah planned everything so that they can be reunited. You had 9 brothers. And even if all of them tried their best to go find Yusuf and to get Binyamin, they couldn't have done it. To get them to reunite with Yaqub, impossible. Impossible. But remember, nothing is impossible with Allah. And in front of their eyes, they had Yusuf and Binyamin together. And now since they have them two, they can get the third brother, the biggest one, right? The oldest one. Kabiruhum, remember? Easy. All 3 with no effort. Nobody did it. Only Allah. Nobody did anything except for Allah. Because what? The taqwa that Yaqub alayhi salam had. A parent who has taqwa and trust Allah, wallahi, Allah will take care of your children. Just like we learn in the story of Musa alayhi salam about the orphans when they were in a town, and the town was a town filled with bad people. When Musa and Khidr entered that town, what did they do? They seen a wall that was just about to fall. It was about to collapse. A very old wall. And it was about to collapse. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Khidr and Musa there to rebuild it so that it can last longer, right? Musa alayhi salam asked, why would you do such a thing? When this whole town, they didn't honor us as guests. When we tried to knock their doors, they closed their doors on us. Why would we help such a town? Right? Allah revealed that is because Abuhuma Salihah. Because their parents were salih, were righteous. They already passed away. Ikhwan, the parents of these orphans passed away. Who took care of them? Is only Allah. If you're a parent, whether you're in your children's life or not, Allah will take care of them with you or without you. Allah only chose you to be their parents. So do right by your children. If you can teach them Al-Fatiha, teach them Al-Fatiha. If you can teach them math, sit down with them and teach them math. Whatever you can do for your children is only a grace from Allah upon you. And it's not because of you. And we learn in a sense with Yaqub alayhi salam, Allah took care of every single of his children because why? He was salih. He had sabr. And when something was impossible, Allah made it possible. Everyone understand. Amazing. Amazing ending to the story, subhanAllah. And we didn't end it yet. There's still more to come that reveals the true nature of Allah upon His servants. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows how He takes care of His servants through this story. So we continue. Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam speaking about 2 people here. لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. He says Allah was gracious or has favored us. عَلَيْنَا. He didn't have anything. In fact, he's actually a slave. Right? He's a slave. He's a slave of who? Of Yusuf. Yusuf alayhi salam, he had everything. Complete opposite. You have a, let's just say a king, and you have a slave. Complete opposite. And he says, Allah has favored the both of us. Meaning what? Yusuf, when he's talking about Allah's favor, he's not talking about this dunya. Because he had everything. If he had everything, he would have just said, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَيَّ أَنَا, me. Allah has favored me because I have this position. But he's talking about Binyamin also. So he's not talking about anything about this dunya. The favor of Allah was that, what was of the three that we mentioned. How Allah gave, actually I didn't mention the third one, but Allah allowed them to be grateful to Allah, to remember Allah. That's the favor on them. The other favor is that Allah reunited them together. And the third favor is that Allah gave them relief. Remember relief? After they suffered. Now after all of the suffering, what was the relief? Yaqub alayhi salam just mentioned, do not despair on the relief of Allah, because the person who despairs are kafirun, the people who are disbelievers. Between mother and father, the relief has come to them after all of these years. And this is the favor that they're talking about. SubhanAllah. So, there's another element to Yusuf alayhi salam and his speech, or his wording here. We spoke about his kindness and him being very careful with what he says to his brothers. Right? He's not saying that Allah took care of me. He didn't take care of you. He didn't say that, right? He says Allah will take care of everyone who has taqwa and has sabr. He's very general with his speech. He's very mindful with what he says to the people he's talking to. Doesn't this remind you of somebody else? Doesn't this remind you of Yaqub alayhi salam? You remember when Yaqub alayhi salam says, he said, وَجَاءُوا عَلَىٰ قَمِيسِهِ بِدَمٍ كَذِبٍ. Yaqub alayhi salam, when his sons came to him with a bloody shirt, what did he say? He says, قَالَ بَلْ سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَمْرًا. He says, no, something else. He didn't say you, right? Something else made your heart do this. Do you understand? The way they speak it blows me away all the time, subhanAllah. Yaqub alayhi salam, he has a way with words. But we see the same way with Yusuf. When he's speaking to others, he says, Allah takes care of everybody, don't worry. Like, he's giving his brothers hope after what they did to him. It's as if he's already forgiven them. He says, Allah will take care of people who has taqwa, don't worry. When you have this person speaking in front of you, and you did something bad to that person, do you feel any hatred anymore? It's hard to hate a person like that, right? It's very difficult to hate, saying he's a person. Remember they said that Yusuf alayhi salam stole? He just stole like just his brother. They spread rumors. After everything that they said about him, Yusuf says, Allah takes care of everybody. It's okay. Allah will take care of the one who has taqwa and has sabr. His character is so beautiful, subhanAllah. When I come across his story and his words specifically, and whenever Yaqub, when I'm reading the story, I ask Allah to allow me, and wallahi, I ask everybody, I ask that Allah allows every single one of us to be able to meet every single one of the Anbiya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah. Lastly, subhanAllah. We'll end it here and then we'll continue next week, inshallah. He says, إِنَّ يَتَّقِي فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. He says, whoever fears Allah, has taqwa in Allah, not just fear, but you have consciousness of Allah. Everywhere you go, you remember Allah. You take a step, Allah's with me. You take another step, Allah's with me. That's a bit too much, but you get what I'm saying, is that wherever you go, whatever you do, you wake up, you remember Allah. You eat, you remember Allah. You start your job, you remember Allah. Every step of your life, you try your best to remember Allah. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِي. And then after you remember Allah, you have sabr after that. It's not enough just to remember Allah. Because you remember Allah, Allah will send test and test and test upon test. The purpose of sabr, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Allah will never let any reward that you do go to waste. Now, just a week ago, I wanted to share a story. This ayah hit me, or this incident that happened reminded me of this ayah. My wife, we had a gathering with our friends, and at first, it's like they called us and like, oh, let's go to the park and have the kids go play together, And my wife was like, oh, I don't have anything to bring, right? And I told my wife, like, it's okay. They bought food, they have stuff, They bought jubba. They had like a lot of food. They have pizza and everything, and then they have a lot of kids too, so they have enough food for everybody. I was like, it's okay. They won't mind. It's just go. They invited. I'll cook some hot dogs, right? I'll cook some hot dogs and then I'll bring it, even if it's just a little bit. So while I was sitting there, the whole entire time, I think it was like 4 hours, we were there, and the kids went to go play in the park, the water park, and they had fun and stuff like that. And the men were talking to each other, and the women were talking. Every single time I look at the box of hot dogs, whenever somebody would come to eat, they would at least take one hot dog, and they would eat. Obviously they'll eat other food too, but I always notice that both the children and the adults would eat the hot dog, right? And it was so strange because it wasn't a lot. Nowadays, like the package of hot dogs, it was a lot more. I think it was like maybe almost like 11 hot dogs in a pack, right? Something like that. Now it's only like 6, 7 maybe. It's a lot less if you buy especially the Midanar or something like that, Midmar. I forgot what it was, but it's a lot less now. But for some reason, that pack of hot dogs, it fed everybody. And my wife, she didn't think much of it. She was like, yeah, it's just a little bit. It's not like a big plate of rice where can feed everybody. At that moment, I remember this ayah. Inna Allah la yudi'u ajra al-muhsinin. It might be something so small for my wife to do. It didn't take her a lot. Just, open the hot dogs and put it in an air fryer maybe and just cook it for like 15 minutes and it's done. But the rewards of her feeding all of the children and all of the adults, she might not know even till today. She might even think about it. It might be something very insignificant for her. But Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah remembers this. Not anybody else. Not the adults who ate the hot dogs. Not the children who ate the hot dogs. Allah remembers it. So when you go to Allah, and Allah is happy with you, and He's smiling at you, make me happy. This is what it means. The smallest reward that you can do, don't think that it's nothing. If you can smile at your brother, just smile. If you see some trash on the floor, just pick it up. Wallahi, that simple thing that you do could be the biggest thing in Allah's eyes. Because Allah doesn't let any reward that you do is not going to go to waste. Allah will keep it with Him. Let's just say He has a pocket. This pocket, the reward that you do is here. He's going to keep it. Maybe nobody knows, but it's with Allah. Do you know any reward that you can do? Just do it. Because we have no time left. Yawmul Qiyamah. If you haven't seen what's going on today, Yawmul Qiyamah has not been closer than it is today. And we'll end it there, inshallah. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.